So what is next for Donald Trump's political friends and foes? Liz Cheney's defeat and public battle with former President Trump could be a sign of things to come in other hotly contested races. And NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Enton joins us live now from Florida. So Brian, Cheney's loss last night has to have Trump feeling empowered.
Oh, absolutely, Nicole. As you can imagine, I mean, Trump has been sitting there watching Cheney basically roast him for the last several months with the January 6th hearings. So you have to imagine there is a certain level of satisfaction watching her lose last night. Take a look at what he posted on Truth Social today about the issue. He said, assume that with the very big Liz Cheney loss, far bigger than had ever been anticipated, the January 6th Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs will quickly begin the beautiful process of dissolution. This was a referendum on the never-ending witch hunt. The people have spoken. Trump certainly sees this as a way of almost a warning to other politicians not to make the same mistake Cheney did, Nicole.
Well, Brian, it certainly seems like Republicans especially are very careful about the way they talk about Trump at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And if you look at Virginia, that's a really, really good example. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican. Remember, Virginia, normally a purple state. They now have a Republican governor. And he has been very outspoken recently, calling out the Justice Department. He's been one of the ones saying we need more transparency about what happened here with the search warrant last week at Mar-a-Lago, Nicole.
All right, so Brian, Cheney, of course, may run for president. You were in Florida. We know DeSantis reported to be mulling a possible presidential run. Trump could announce soon. How does this all fit together?
Yeah, so many moving parts. That's a good question. Trump, of course, still the front runner. Most polls, especially among Republicans, have him as the most popular person to run for president. But DeSantis, Governor DeSantis here in Florida, he's also popular. He still has to win governor, though, in November. I mean, if he doesn't win that, he's got an issue running for president. He says right now he's focused on running for governor. If Cheney runs, that would certainly be very interesting. And don't forget about Mike Pence. They are aligned in some ways. Could we see a Cheney-Pence ticket? That's a possibility. So many moving parts here in Florida. Let's not forget about Marco Rubio, Senator Rubio. His race here in Florida has really gotten interesting lately. He's running against Representative Val Demings. She's the former Orlando police chief. He's popular here in Florida for a long time, but the latest polling shows Demings above Rubio by 4%. So things are really getting interesting, Nicole.
Yeah, certainly getting interesting. Still very early, though. All right, Brian, thank you. So joining us now to discuss what we could potentially expect in 2024, NewsNation senior contributor George Will. George, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be with you.
All right, so big election last night. Cheney's concession speech attempted to essentially draw a clear line for Americans, right? Either support Trump and what she sees as treason or oppose him and be a patriot in her view. So, George, do you think this is how the general population really sees it?
I think the Republican Party sees it that way. Donald Trump has a firm grip on the nominating electorate of the Republican Party, but that's not a majority of the Republican Party. Remember, most Americans don't vote in primaries, least of all in August, least of all in a non-presidential year. So what you got in Wyoming was A, a very Trump-supporting state, and B, the most intense Trump supporters came out. And they're a whopping majority in Wyoming, we know that. I'm not quite clear as to what Liz Cheney's path forward is. If she runs in a Republican primary, she'll have a lot of company because Mr. Trump, let's assume he runs, so will Tom Cotton, so will Chris Christie, so will Mike Pence, so will Nikki Haley. Lots of people are going to run. Now, if again you have 18 people on stage with Mr. Trump, and Trump has a solid hold on 35% of the Republican vote, he wins just because the other 18 will disperse the opposition. On the other hand, if Liz Cheney is hinting about running as an independent third-party candidate, she might have the effect of helping Trump by drawing away from the Democrats some moderate Republicans who otherwise would have voted for the Democrat, and helping, therefore, Trump slip through in a narrow passage. So this is indeed, it's like four-dimensional chess at this point.
Yeah, really getting exciting at this point, George. Let's talk about one of Wyoming's main newspapers, the Casper Star-Tribune. It says Wyoming voters repeatedly told the paper they feel betrayed and used by Cheney. Listen to what one voter told NewsNation yesterday.
I just don't want her to get elected again. I don't like the things that she's done and what she's for. And so I'm going to hope that this Hageman wins.
All right, George. So is the national media making this Trump versus Cheney, or is that old adage really true? All politics are local, and they just didn't want her anymore.
Well, I think that one of the reasons they didn't want her anymore is that politics in this case was national from the start. And they said, we love Trump. You loathe Trump. We're a bad fix. And they just got a divorce. But Liz Cheney's eye is on a bigger prize at this point. It is that portion of the Republican Party. And if you look at the surveys, they're remarkable. A majority of Democrats say they'd like someone else besides Mr. Biden to run next time. And a majority of Republicans say they'd like to change, go forward with a different person. The question is, how do these rather tepid majorities find a voice? Liz Cheney thinks she can be it. She'll have a lot of competition with other people trying to be that voice.
Absolutely. All right. Well, George, let's switch to the other side of the aisle now. Let's talk about President Biden. He says he plans to run for re-election, though there are still, of course, calls for him to clarify those plans. Now, as you know, historically, sitting presidents typically wait until after the midterms to announce. Both Reagan and George H.W. Bush actually announced their re-election in the same year of the presidential election, with less than 300 days till Election Day. But the former presidents following Bill Clinton, well, they announced their run for re-election months after the midterm. So why do you think there's any pressure on Biden to announce his plans earlier than most of his predecessors?
Because there is such a groundswell of opinion, again, in the Democratic Party as well as in the country. The feeling that Mr. Biden should have been a one-term transitional president from one generation to another. Now, if Mr. Biden had already decided not to run again in 2024, he would be saying exactly what he's saying now, that is, that he intends to run. Otherwise, he would turn himself into a lame duck, and he would set off a firestorm of competition among Democrats, senators, and Democratic governors, and there'd be an enormous distraction from him and his agenda. So the fact that Mr. Biden says today he's going to run, that he has every intention of running, does not mean that that's really his intention.
Of course, we will have to wait and see. Senior contributor George Will, a pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
Glad to be with you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.